Okay, so
Yeah, all right, go on.
just to
Donny,
let everyone know,
fucking Donald.
I'm actually the sound engineer, and I apologise. I'm so sorry, but I actually forgot to press record on the mic. So the sound quality is pretty bad up until about the 40-minute mark, but then after that, it's amazing. It's back to normal because obviously
Do you know
I'm a great producer.
the worst thing is because for the whole first half of that interview, we're all like this, look, talking into the mic,
Yeah.
and they
Like,
just
come.
weren't turned on. Just like,
Yeah, I mean it's working. It was working.
It was on, but not recording.
Not recording. But I apologise for that.
I see it more as a cultural thing. We live in an age now where people want to get their opinions out there so badly and feel like that they're top dog and that they're not willing to compromise on anyone else's opinions.
They really are unhappy about something, but they're not sure what it really is.
They don't know what it is.
This is the thing, and they're getting out there, and I understand, frustration, this and that. They don't know what it is, but they're getting caught up.
Tens of millions of pounds have been pumped in through the education system that touches on projects all to do with geoengineering, stratospheric aerosol injection, so putting chemicals into the atmosphere.
They've spent years and years in recruiting new officers, but focusing on box ticking, rather than merit.
So I went round, and then 4 of them just surrounded me, and he had I had my backpack on, and he had this gun pointing at me. He said, "We need to check your bag."
Me creating a political compass and then you being mapped on that compass, it's just creating more division. Like, we're complex human beings and we need to live in harmony. Right, so episode number 3, we've got Lewis Brackpool on the show.
Thank you.
Wicked.
Thank you very much. Good to meet you.
Yeah, so Lewis is an independent journalist, for anyone that doesn't know him. He's been doing this for as long as I've known of you, you've been doing this. You weren't independent when I first heard of you. You've worked for, I think it was Rebel News, Epoch Times for a short period.
Didn't actually pass the interview on
that
one. Yeah, unfortunately, but no, it's cool. I did apply for them. Yeah. But they're lovely guys still. We're in contact, so yeah.
And that's where I sort of first met you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When you was working for Rebel News. I can't remember. It was one of the rallies in central London or something like that. I don't think it was a particularly big one that day.
No. I think Ashley, who you've had on before, introduced us because I heard that you had a court case at the time because of this gym. Lovely gym, by the way. Really good. Really like the setup and everything. And they were trying to shut it down, right? And we just had a quick standalone, one-to-one interview and put that out. And you won your court case. Yeah. So
just before that, it was I think it was right outside the House of Parliament.
That's it. Yep, it was good.
It was good. Yeah, it was a good little interview. I enjoyed that.
No.
So maybe you could just tell us a bit about yourself. Like, what do you do? What you interested in at the moment?
Yeah, cool. Yeah. So like Andrea said, independent journalist. Been doing it for nearly 4 years. Love politics, culture, agendas, love talking about all of those sorts of things. I contribute to an outlet at the minute called The Publica, who are Canadian and American. It's hosted by Sydney Watson and The Quartering and others as well.
What's the Quartering?
The Quartering is he's like a YouTuber, streamer. It's his and Sydney Watson's company. So we've been they've been going for about a year, 2 years, something like that, and I joined very recently. They've just sent me off to France, which I'm sure we'll get into at the minute. And because it was election season not too long ago, I've just been constantly talking about that, and I've been very grateful actually, because this journey of becoming a journalist, before that I was in a completely different field. I was handing out chicken and beef on tin canned tubes at 50,000 feet in the air.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Flight attendant.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I was to BA.
Oh,
yeah.
You probably saw it.
I might have bumped into you. So
Oh, really?
I'm a gold member.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, sweet, man.
Gold member for as long as I can bloody remember.
Oh, nice. I've got no incentives now, mate. They don't like me anymore. So kicks me out, basically. Yeah. Oh, because of COVID. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, they had cut.
Made half the stuff redundant, right?
75%. Yeah.
Oh, more than half.
Well, that's a blessing
yeah.
in some ways, isn't it? Because then you won't be doing what you're doing if you.
Exactly, man. Lost a lot of friends because of COVID, because of lockdowns, views and politics. Very liberal sort of area of work. So yeah, the journey has been pretty wild, but I'm very grateful, very, very gracious, and I'm really happy to be here. So yeah.
Who you are as an independent journalist.
So was you doing all this while you was was you doing like all your kind of journalism while you was working for PA?
No, not at all.
Oh, right.
Every now and then I'd post something a bit spicy on Instagram, but then that built a bit of a reputation because some people found out that my views weren't that conventional, and some of them took a bit of disliking to it, which is I guess normal in the kind of workspace, the work environment that we have with the wokeness and things like that. That's been going through the workspaces. But yeah, I never did journalism before. Never was a reporter. Never studied it. Nothing. I just was consuming a lot of content during like the lockdown era, and then thought I want to do that. Lost my job and thought, well, what an opportunity. So I might give it a go.
That's mad.
Yeah, man.
You know what? I think that is probably the best way to get into journalism.
I agree.
Just be what's the word? Yeah, deep end, but just decentralized. Because I don't, God knows what they teach them in school about journalism. I don't know. But
I wouldn't want to know.
I
wouldn't want to know, man.
And it's just like, you know what? I've got a question I wanted to ask you. I'm going to just dig right into this.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's to do with Julian Assange.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. So that's a very sort of recent thing.
Mm-hmm.
You obviously know what's happened recently with that, and then so it's just like, what are your feelings towards that?
The whole Julian Assange case.
Broad question. Go on.
Should we just quickly summarise what the Julian Assange case is?
All right.
Just quickly, very quickly.
Go on.
Okay, so it was WikiLeaks. He founded WikiLeaks, I believe, and he exposed what was happening in Iraq, Afghanistan, war crimes, and obviously the government didn't like that.
Particularly the USA government.
Yeah, exactly. And so then they tried to charge him for like espionage and things like that, and it was like a national security threat.
Even though he was a journalist.
Even though he was a journalist, and that's what journalists do. So my view is, even though we might not agree politically on some things, it's not about that. You put that down. When journalists are being attacked for exposing the truth, that's when you put everything down. You say, no, this man must be freed. I know that I'm not quite sure the details of it, but I know that he's agreed to conditions, which is why it's led to his freedom. So I don't know, I think it's still an ongoing thing. I think there's still things that are...
So yeah, he was on the run for around, I think it was 5 or 6, maybe longer than that. Don't get me on the number there.
Was it the Swedish embassy, wasn't he?
He was hiding in, I think, the Finnish embassy. He was hiding in the Finnish embassy for a few years. Yes.
Yes, man.
He was basically, he was basically on the run for a long time.
Yeah.
You actually, we went down to the Royal Court of Justice last
year.
Kicking off. Yeah, we was there it was during my campaign actually. We went down and
nice.
So it was pretty.
I think I was there doing an interview with TNT.
You was there, and I think when I got there, I think you had left already, and then I did another interview with TNT.
Oh, did you message me? I think.
I think so. Because Ash was there as well.
Yeah, he was there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think David Curtin was there.
That's it. Yeah, I was on his show.
But so Julian Assange basically was sort of on the run from the USA government for a good few years, hiding in embassies, this and that, and then he eventually got arrested.
Yeah.
Spent a fair amount of time. I think it was in Belmarsh.
Belmarsh.
AAA cat.
That's like the top one.
And AAA cat is for, the most serious of offenders. God forbid he shares some information.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exposing what's going on.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, and then the USA will try to extradite him.
Yeah, that's
they
it.
want to do God knows what to him.
Yeah.
Some type of Guantanamo Bay execution style for sharing the dirty secret. Yeah, but anyway, long story short, he cut a deal with them. I can't remember how many charges it was, but he pled guilty to I think just one of them in the end.
Yes.
The rest of them were dropped, and they accepted time served in prison.
That's it.
So he is now free. I think he's in Australia.
Yes, it.
Right now, he was freed and literally got straight on a plane, went to Australia or something like that.
Yeah.
But for me, I really respect the man for what he done. I really do, because he stood up, stood his ground, spent a lot of his life, on the run, in prison, etc., to make a point. So I respect him for doing that.
Yeah.
On one side of things, but at the same time, what does that mean for journalists, and what does that mean for independent journalists? Because There is, yeah.
That was the main question when, on the day of going outside the Royal Courts of Justice and conducting that interview with David Curtin, and we sat and spoke about it. It's a worry because if he would have been extradited to the US, it would have killed him. It would have killed him, there's no doubt about that. It would have completely ruined his health. He was on his way out anyway because of the conditions he was under in Belmarsh. What it meant would be a constraint towards journalists that want to actually get out there and do proper journalism and actually expose the government for wrongdoings. Now, I'm so glad that he's free, obviously. I'm actually concerned about the future, if I'm totally honest, with regards to journalism, because there's not a lot of cats out there now that actually want to get out there and do the nitty-gritty stuff. You've only got a few that, off the top of my head, Sonia Poulton, that wants to really expose, she's great, she's really good. Like, exposing what's going on in Westminster, she's exposed, like, the paedophile rings and things like that. There are people out there that are way too scared to put their head in deep water to actually try and expose the truth, because they're afraid of the consequences.
Sonia's definitely not afraid.
She's fearless.
She'll talk about the whole 5G EMF thing. She talks about all the toxic subjects.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And actually backs it up as well. Yeah. It's not just going off on the deep end. It's actually bringing data, bringing facts to the table. So people, with the Julian Assange case, it was so important for him to be freed, to not be extradited, because it would have put a stain on journalism, and it would have put a lot of people off from going into the trade or going into the profession. Unfortunately, it's a corporate world. We mentioned earlier about how people now want to study journalism, and then they become almost like a corporate sort of mould of journalism, like they become Sky News, BBC, mainstream, and they kind of get told what to think as opposed to going out there and doing it themselves. So we need more journalists to actually come out and just be a bit more courageous, and just find that sort of drive to want to expose a lot more.
You know when we're talking about Julian Assange, didn't he leak military secrets and things like that? Isn't that a bit different from like talking about 5G and blah blah blah?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Sure.
So basically, we all know the biggest terrorists in the world are the USA, the UK. They go out there, commit terrible war crimes in the name of some funny freedom act somewhere or whatever, get the backing of their people.
That could start a war though, like even that sort of information could start a war. When you're trying to talk it's different though, right? Like saying, like protecting Julian Assange, he's kind of like leaking military information and then saying, and she's talking about like,
well, Westminster.
They're different things. Obviously, you want to expose the paedophiles, but you're not trying to get our country nuked, like because we've done some fuckery through some documents.
Yeah, but right, the country has leaders, right? The military has leaders, and those leaders were instructing soldiers to go out there and commit war crimes. So that's what he exposed. But they're arguing, by exposing that, he's exposed, sensitive information about soldiers, about this, about that.
It's like saboteur, like
he's risked the national security of the USA. Basically.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's so much bigger than I don't think that's like.
But if you look at
you call it journalism when you're saying,
because if the USA are dropping bombs on a mosque or a church with just women and children in, for some whatever reason, and killing everybody in there, and then lying to the American public about that.
It was the famous video, I think, that was released by them that they exposed, and it was in Afghanistan. I think it was, I don't know if it was an Apache or some sort of aircraft that could shoot on the ground targets, and it was journalists. It was like Reuters journalists, and they decided to just open fire on all these innocent people.
Yeah, literally.
And then they decided, okay, well, that's wrong. And they had a choice whether to leak it to the public or just not talk about it. And I think your conscience would play on you if you saw something like that and they killed innocent people. You would say, hang on a minute, that's wrong. There needs to be accountability there.
Yeah, I totally agree. So the whole Julian Assange thing, do you feel unaffected by it? does it intimidate you in any way?
I think it would intimidate anyone. I think
This is the thing. This is the thing, isn't it?
Because the thing is, well, they say the highest honour in journalism is to be killed or arrested. So that's the highest honorary is to be CIA'd or to be put in prison.
Then you've hit
you've gone over the line because you've exposed something. Journalism, it depends on where you go, and it depends on what you want to talk about, of course. You know, there's a lot of people that just want to sit in like a studio at home and just do piece-to-camera stuff where the articles are already written out for you, it's already available to you, and then you just talk about it. But if you want to go out and seek stories, if you want to gather leads, if you want to expose something that hasn't been done before, you've got to get out there and you've got to get really into it. But that's a risk within itself. There's been so many journalists in the past that have either come under court cases, come under massive scrutiny, and of course have been arrested, or worse, been killed for exposing something that the government or intelligence agencies do not want you to go near for a reason. But that comes with obvious risk. So, yeah, I think it would worry anyone, but I'm not trying to be holier than thou or Billy Big Bollocks here, but you know, I'm not afraid of these things.
Come on, Lewis. Yes.
No, I'm not afraid of these things. Like,
that's what I love to hear, though.
No, like, what's the point? We were talking earlier about like faith, briefly. You know, obviously I'm a man of faith. I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus Christ. That's the only. That's the only goal. That's the only. I fear God, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, why should I then fear? Yeah, of course, people get nervous, anxious. That's normal. Of course, that's human nature. But to fear what to say in this world, like, I don't live for this world personally. So I
love that. Honestly, I fucking love that, Lewis, because for me, journalists, you know, your mainstream media journalists, they're just fucking. It's just like like what you said, they told what to report. They're not reporting actually what's happening. So for me, the only sort of true channel of journalism left is independent journalists, like so people like yourself. So when I hear an independent journalist saying I'm untouched emotionally by what happened to Julian Assange, it doesn't make me fear. That gives me a lot of hope for journalism, because honestly, journalism is like almost at its dying. So
if you got hold of some really highly sensitive information, you're reporting that straight.
Well, I have to consult lawyers for that.
Well, that's
yeah, you go through a process, but it wouldn't be something that you would go, oh, I know this information, I'm just going to keep that to myself. You know, I don't think that's right.
You couldn't do that, right?
No, of course
your morals would override,
and it would eat away at you. It's guilt. It's guilt, and I
maybe
think
not though, because you know the outcome, like you can read that out, and then you're getting poisoned. Your body disappearing. Yeah, exactly. All of a sudden, you're suddenly dying of some mad disease.
I don't even know why I'm laughing about that. That was like
that's messed up.
That was horrific. You know what? That wasn't it. That was a statement. That was like, it wasn't an execution. That was a statement to the rest of the world. Fuck around with Russia. We're getting plutonium in your breakfast.
We'll get
Cocoa Pops.
We're gonna get a bit of. And so you're saying, okay, against that, you're willing to risk and leak the information.
Yeah, of course. Like it depends on what the information is. Obviously, you know, you have to be very specific on this. But if it's something that's going to bring attention to something that's important for the public to know, and that it's going to affect the public, you could take Edward Snowden as another case. You know, he found that the NSA was spying on citizens, hacking phones, tracking people, and it wasn't for military gains. It was to spy on citizens. So of course, you know, Snowden decided that this is wrong. We need to release this to the public, and then your conscience kicks in, and people are willing to risk all sorts, their reputation, their livelihoods, just to say, I'll die or I'll go to prison for this because it's the right thing to do. And this has happened throughout history. If you take a look at the disciples who followed Christ, when they saw when they were questioned after, and they said, "Did you see Christ resurrect after he was killed on Calvary's cross?" They could have easily just said, "No, I didn't," and then lived a peaceful life, and then that would be it. But they said, "We believe that we saw Christ rise from the dead after," and all they needed to do was recant and say, "I didn't see that." But they were all brutally killed and tortured and hunted down for what they believed in. So then it begs the question, why would you die for a lie? But there's an essence of, I don't know what it is, it's just immense amount of courageousness. And I think if we apply that to everyday things now, whether it be journalism, whether it be just telling the truth, even at the point of, if you're in the work office and you believe something to be true, challenge it. A lot of people are very afraid in this climate of cancel culture, of all sorts of things. We need to just rewire now, and we need to just say, look, this is how I feel. I don't care if it's gonna, cancel me or whatever. You've got to say it with your chest.
Morals and integrity has to kick in at some point.
Exactly.
For me, that has just always been sort of like the staple to me, who I am, my ethos, isn't it?
Yeah,
because
right.
we're all only human, right? We have anxiety, we get scared, we get excited, we get we make mistakes or whatever. But there has to be that baseline of morals and integrity. If you can't stick to it, you reach that certain point and you make that decision in your head. Am I going to do the right thing at this point? If you don't do the right thing at that point, you don't have your morals and integrity. For me, it's like, can I call myself a man?
Yeah, exactly.
Can you call yourself a man after you've, even just one time, not adhered to your morals and integrity? It's like, I won't be able to sleep properly.
I know. Yeah, I know. And that's I think would weigh on my consciousness as well. Like, you mentioned, would you do that? It obviously depends on what information it is, but I don't think I could live with myself if it was something that was affecting the public, ordinary people, if it was just against the ethos of just everyday people and just your morals as well. So, yeah, it'd have to be done.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't recommend becoming a journalist, really.
Do you know what?
It's a bit mad.
It's like a dangerous road.
Now that we're here, you got any?
Have I got any leaks? No.
You got a lot of juicy hot leaks.
Well, you know what? I'll say one thing though, in this day and age, shit gets leaked left, right, and centre. Like we go back a few hundred years, nothing will get leaked. Someone's head will get chopped off, this and that. Things will just get silenced. In this day and age of like technology, phones, cameras, everywhere you go, someone's filming, someone's this and that.
And people find it accidentally as well.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. I love it. It's almost like no one can get away with shit these days, isn't it? I mean, people are getting away with things, but it's like right under our noses. We know that what they're doing now, right? Because of this technology, I fucking love it.
Yeah, and it breeds everyday people doing extraordinary things. So some people can get caught up in all sorts of leaks, or something happens and they go, you know what, that's wrong. Take the trucker convoy, for example, in Canada, when that happened, with all the mandatory vaccinations for truckers crossing the border from Canada to America. There's an interview with Tamara Leach. I don't know if you've heard of her. She was an activist that helped set up the trucker convoy sort of protest. And she was just an ordinary person. She was not into politics, not into activism, anything like that. She just thought this is wrong and decided one day, like, let's do this. Let's go out and actually, make change. And the trucker convoy was one of the biggest almost revolutions we've had in a long, long time in the Western Hemisphere. So that led to like the farmers' protests as well. It led to other truckers like across Europe and in America and
Confidence breeds confidence.
Exactly, and we need more of that. It's ordinary people doing extraordinary things, and that's what we need more of. But technology plays a big part in that.
It's about the internet. That probably would never have spread.
No.
Right? So As long as you can see everyone doing it, and you can do your own thing, add to it.
Yeah.
I suppose that's how all the COVID stuff really got about, isn't it? If COVID happened and we didn't have the internet, none of that.
We'd probably still be in lockdown.
Yeah, we'd be in
100%.
Yeah.
We'll be in lockdown and people would literally be, I don't know what the government would be telling people to do next. You know, they weren't telling people to do some mad shit, but I reckon at some point they would have been telling people, right, you have to crawl, because if you walk, the virus will get you. So you have to crawl, and then you'll be, I guarantee everyone will be crawling around.
I might call for the first day. I'll call for the first couple of days.
I mean, the face mask during sex thing was the insane.
There was so many.
Did you see that? The BBC right about that? It's just like
the amount of piss that got taken off.
Yeah, unbelievable. Well, it's like the clips out of China coming out where people were supposedly dropping dead and falling to the floor and things like that, and that was only on like mainstream media was only reporting on that, but then people sort of slowly picked up. Hang on a minute, this is an old clip, or this isn't related to this, or hang on a minute, that doesn't
or that's
seem
not
right.
happening here.
That's not happening here. Yeah,
well.
exactly. So technology, yes, as much as there are downsides, that obviously we were discussing about that earlier off camera about how social media, plays on culture and it can denigrate, culture and society and things like that. There's a lot of positive, aspects with it, and one of them is citizen journalism and trying to uncover or whistleblow truth. So yeah,
That's a brilliant word.
yeah.
Speaking of which, you was in France. So tell me about. I want to know about France, man. It seems a little bit almost like every sort of Western country now is playing this same sort of politics game. The left versus the right. It's just so fucking boring to me. Like.
Yeah.
And over there, it's the same thing, really, wasn't it?
Yeah,
the
I
left
mean,
versus the right.
yeah. So I went to Paris. Don't go. Honestly, well, go if you like, but I really didn't like it. It was too dirty, and it was. I don't know. Yeah.
I went there about,
yeah.
I think about 10 years ago, but I guess I went to all the nice touristy places.
Yeah.
I probably didn't see the...
Well, Paris is small, right? Paris is that little bit of Paris, central Paris. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
You're saying the whole of it's dirty?
Yeah, well, I was near. I was near Playa de la Republique. It's called. It's the right in the centre. It has a big monument. It has like just shops all around. There are pockets of nice parts of Paris, but a lot of it is just. I don't know, it's very poor almost, and it's just not nice to be around.
Was that your first time you went there?
First time in Paris, yeah, and I thought, not sure about that. Police everywhere, patrolling. Guess that kind of is a good thing, but it shows low trust society. So
well, they definitely. One thing I know about the French is they know how to protest, don't they?
But that's the weird thing. So I went there after the elections, the French elections, where they had an exit poll come out to start with, where Marine Le Pen, who's on the right, was projected to win. Then the communists.
Is he the really young party leader?
He's part of Marine Le Pen, who's the woman.
Marine Le Pen's a woman.
So that's all right.
Excuse me.
There is a young guy that's part of that party, National Rally, who's.
I had my eye on him. I've forgotten his name, but
I've forgotten his name.
The part of the far right party or whatever, but he's only like 22 years old or
something like that. Yeah, he's really young.
I like to see young guys in politics. That's why I admire.
Yeah. But then like.
What you love?
I don't think you said you like to see young guys in politics.
That wasn't something gay shit. I like to see young people in politics. That's what I meant to say. Okay.
We'll keep it light.
So then it was due for the second exit poll to come out, which was projected that she was going to win. But then there was some collusion happening with the Communists, the Liberal Party and the Conservative Party of France, where they decided to stand down nearly 200 candidates to stop this party from coming in. So democracy for you, right? Anyways, so
we had like the left joining the centre or something.
Yeah, they decided to team up to stop these guys from getting into power. The far right. Yeah. Which I don't even know what far right means these days, because everyone seems to be far right. So that happened. So I decided to go to France to cover the potential riots that were going to happen, because if Marine Le Pen won, the city would have been completely burnt down.
By the leftists.
By the leftists, who are seem to be on. If you look at the map of who voted there, it seems to be only Paris was the ones that voted left, and the rest of the country was blue. So Marine Le Pen. So, okay, so they rioted on the exit poll when that came out first the week before. So we thought it's going to kick off. So the Publica decided to send me over there. That's the outlet I'm contributing for. They sent me out there to see whether if Marine Le Pen won, it would be riots, so I'd be there on the ground covering it. The communists then won, and the socialists won. So they were all celebrating, and I was filming it. They were all there. There was thousands of people in the centre. And then they rioted anyway. In typical French style, they won, but then they decided to riot anyway. They were setting off explosives in front of the police. That I managed to capture all of that. They were throwing glass bottles at police, and they were the police were just standing there, just getting pelted by glass bottles. They were setting vehicles alight, smashing buildings. There were shots boarded up. Yeah, they really go for it. And I was right in the midst of it, just filming, getting it out on Twitter. Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, the police took all my riot gear away. Yeah, they stopped and searched me and took all my riot gear away.
Must be the far right.
Yeah, it must be. Yeah, the evil far right.
Well, even though you're press, they took your stuff away.
Exactly. Yeah, I tried to prove that I was press, and they said, "Have you got a card?" And we'd ordered a card. Press card for me to go out there with.
What is a card anyway?
I know.
It's when you print it off the
It literally just says press.
With a lanyard to make it official, right?
Yeah, just draw on it. There you go, mate.
Reminds me of convict, like people who are wearing lanyards. Look, I don't need to wear a mask. I have a lanyard.
That's it. Exempt.
Exempt. That's it.
Yeah, I said, look, I haven't got a pass. It's not printed out yet. But here's the website, here's what I'm doing, here's my ID, I gave them everything. But this guy, it was quite scary actually, this guy was looking at me, this French guy, and he was holding this massive machine gun.
Automatic
and I was like...
With rubber bullets or something.
And I tried going around him and he stopped me, and I tried to go around the other way, because there was this underground sort of pass that I couldn't obviously walk through. So I went round, and then 4 of them just surrounded me, and he had I had my backpack on, and he had this gun pointing at me. He said, "We need to check your bag." Backpack. And they could hardly speak English, so obviously. But threw my backpack down, opened it, and they just see all respirators, safety goggles, gloves. Oh, so they were like, "What is this?" And I was like, shit. I literally was like,
"You're not going to believe this, but..."
Yeah, not part of them actually. And I went, "Oh, it's protection because I'm a journalist," and and he went, no, this is forbidden, you cannot have this." And then they immediately put the radio on.
This is forbidden, you're not allowed gloves.
Yeah, you're not allowed gloves.
How dare you bring gloves to Paris? Goggles.
And imagine me, I'm not in comparison to you guys, I'm tiny, literally. So you got all these massive dudes with guns over me, and I'm there with this little backpack on, just respirators. Anyways, so they took it away, and I phoned the boss, and she tried to get a translator on, and they wouldn't have it, and they said, "No, you pick it up tomorrow at this address," which was an hour and a half away. So I had to walk an hour and a half away. But yeah, no, it was crazy. It was a chaotic night. But the police left me alone because I stood with the press, and they were happy with that. But they honestly rioted anyway, even though they got their result they won.
But who's rioting then?
You got the
That's Paris. You said that was majority of the main centre of Paris, and so the outsides were the majority.
So the country or outside of Paris and some other cities as well voted for Marine Le Pen. But Paris majority, they voted for the communists and socialists, and you had the Antifa lot out. It was a weird. This is the weird thing about it. When I was there, they were holding flags. They held Antifa flags, communist flags, Then they had a Moroccan flag there, then an Algerian flag.
There's a lot of Algerians in Paris.
That's it, yeah. And then they had trans flag was up, LGBT flag was up, pride flag. I was like, it was just an amalgamation of all sorts of like different ideologies and persuasions.
This
and
is like what the left has become though, right? It's just like a big mixture of like God knows what the fuck in there.
Problems, people having problems. Just a mixture of everyone. That's what
I just thought
at least like the right, it's like okay, it's a bit more straightforward.
Like, yeah, like you know what you stand. Yeah. But there was alliances going everywhere. Like there were guys who followed Islam there. Then there was transgender, like people who were transgender there, all standing next to each other. And I was watching it, going, "This is strange." Like, I just
you know what? It's become a little bit like that in central London. You know,
sectarian.
I can't remember the last rally I went to, but I just remember going there.
Yeah.
And at the same time going on, I think there was a Palestine protest. There was also I think it was an Eritrean protest and another Somalian protest going on.
Oh, gosh,
and then there was the Freedom lot outside Parliament, and it was all just in the same place. And it was just like, look, there's a lot going on the same day, sort of thing.
Yeah, man.
It's become a little bit chaotic, the whole sort of protesting scene, hasn't it?
Yeah, I know. There's an amalgamation of so many different persuasions. And when I saw that in Paris, in the centre, and just watching it all, and then just firing off fireworks into the air, and then setting off explosives and all of that, and everyone just cheering it on and just really like going for it, like frothing at the mouth over it. I was a bit like,
you know what I think with people, they genuinely are unhappy about something, but they're not sure what it really is.
they don't know what it is.
This is the thing, and they're getting out there, and I understand, frustration, this and that. They don't know what it is, but they're getting caught up in whatever it is, whether it's some sort of woke ideology, whether it's the left, the right, or whatever, and they're getting boxed into these things, and almost like they're being sort of forced or told what it is that they're not unhappy with.
What's weird as well, to add to that point, I saw like 20-year-old girls there, like in like scantily clad like clothing, like it was just some rave, next to like communists, next to like Antifa, next to like...
That is, I'm not gonna lie, that's one thing I find hilarious, like when women protest.
They
protest naked. I'm protesting because of this, whatever. This is what I'm saying. No, I've seen something else of like...
What do you mean?
Have you not seen like the French feminists who have like...
But
they'll be protesting about something complete, it might be about... They might be protesting about the price of a water bottle or something, But they butt naked, walking through the streets.
Tops off.
No, they're feminists, right?
This is what they do. They'll protest nude about something
Ukraine.
About Ukraine. We are protesting about Ukraine, but their protest is naked. I'm just like...
Well,
that's going to get some views though, isn't it? That's the whole point, isn't it? That's the point of protesting. That's what you want, isn't it?
That's the point. It's just weird. And the French seem to do it a lot. I don't know
like if my, family member wanted to protest for something... By doing that naked, I
feel bad for the dad.
I was just like, you're not doing that. No, the answer is
I
no.
promise you, if you, when you're protesting COVID, you just got butt naked,
I get arrested. I did get arrested every time.
COVID would have been done.
That's it. COVID's over. They'll be like, we don't want to see this hairy gorilla.
Spread.
No more naked hairy gorillas.
No, maybe there isn't any COVID. That's fine.
But alright, so we're back. Where was we? We was talking about, I was about to start laying into the whole left and right scam.
Okay.
Because I believe it is, in some way, what it does is it creates like a box, some sort of paradigm that you can't really get out of, and you're not allowed to get out of it. The political compass is... It only allows you to stay within those constraints. You can't fall outside of that. And we are complex beings. We're human beings that have a range of emotions and thoughts and feelings about lots of different subjects, which are again complex and and multifaceted and everything. So you can't. For me, the compass is so basic. Again, you're just making yourself like part of a football team almost. Like, you know, you're with the left or the right. Arsenal, Chelsea, blue, red. You know,
I see what you mean.
it's like it. Like, you know, I could take the political compass tests, and I think I've come up different on several occasions. I've done it a few times or whatever. I think the one I come most is I'm like a little bit touched to the right. I'm like centre right or whatever, innit? But then if it asks me another set of questions, I could come up left.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, for sure.
You know, like a lot of my thoughts and feelings are very left, what you would say. And some of my thoughts, feelings are right or whatever. But then some of my feelings could be described as left and right. Like you could look at it from different aspects. So for me, creating a political compass and then you being mapped on that compass, it's just creating more division. Like, we're complex human beings and we need to live in harmony, not be like you're part of the left, you're part of the right. It's just.
Why don't we just make a percentage-based compass? You know, wouldn't that make things a bit easier?
Or why don't we actually see things for what they are? Because for me,
it's great.
The compass is just another mask over our eyes. For me right now, the only meaningful sort of team, if you want to call it, is, are you a free living human being, or are you supporting the global agendas, oppression? Are you with humanity, or are you not with humanity? Because for me, that is the only sort of worthwhile fight right now. So if you're going to join a team, which one are you on for me, innit? Because it affects the whole world right now.
So
you know?
it's about being oppressed or not being oppressed for you. That's what it boils down to. The two.
Yeah, I mean, the global agendas at play right now. You know, net
you mean
zero,
the people versus the establishment? Do you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the establishment is a tool that's being used against us. You know, the government and all its agencies and the media, and you know, it's like this big vehicle and the moving parts in it, like the engine, the gearbox, and all that. We've got like the media, the government, all the different parts of it, and it's just being used against us at the moment. It's nothing is really serving us. Like, and for me, it's just, are you for humanity or are you against it? Are you for modern day slavery or are you against it? You know, these are the more important sort of, if you want to pin yourself on a compass, that's a lot more important for me, man. Because for me, I don't care whether you're left or right, you know, like it doesn't bother me, honestly.
So 20 years ago, or, you know, say 20 to 30 years ago, I think you could probably sit in a bar or a pub, and if you had a friend who thought differently of you, left or right, you could still have a beer and have a conversation.
100%, yeah.
But the times have changed now where it's so polarised, and this is the media's fault, where they say, you're far right if you believe this, or you're a Trotskyite or a communist if you believe that. And that's the problem, I think. I would argue it's not necessarily whether you feel your values are centred towards left-wing politics or right-wing politics, or your values are inherently left-wing or right-wing. I see it more as a cultural thing. We live in an age now where people want to get their opinions out there so badly and feel like that they're top dog, and that they're not willing to compromise on anyone else's opinions. And unfortunately, a lot of people like to put themselves in that box. You see how you take ideologies. Let's talk about like gender ideology, for example. So you would probably argue that the vast majority of people who subscribe to gender ideology, so pushing pronouns on people, compelled speech, that type of thing, could be predominantly left-wing in politics. You could probably argue that.
Yeah.
But there are plenty of left-wing people that I've met. You know, I consider myself on the right, if you were to pin it down in terms of values, not necessarily politics, but more values. I could sit in a pub and speak with a guy if they're polite to me and they have different views. We might debate on something politely, but we're still having a pint and we're not going to chuck it all over each other. The problem is the climate of politics has completely changed now, where if you do have a different opinion that might be a bit more conservative, and you don't even need to say that you're conservative now or say that you're on the right. If people hear that something is a little bit different, maybe you're against something like, I don't know, something spicy like abortion, or you want to you have stricter border controls, or you want immigration to lower, or something like that, people immediately think, oh, you're far right. Oh, you're an authoritarian, whatever. And if someone thinks, well, maybe we should stop wars, or we should look to a more sort of less free market economy and more sort of I don't know, regulatory economy or whatever. Oh, you're far left. You're left wing. So I think it's more about culture and society standards that have changed, as opposed to just, I think, and the media using the left-right thing as a kind of tool, as opposed to left-right in general, if that makes sense. Because I think if us three sat down and done like an 8 values test, there is a test called 8 values, which is, instead of the political compass test, which is about 50 questions, it's like 300 questions, and it pinpoints like certain accuracies. It's not probably mega accurate, but it gets like an idea, I guess.
Better idea than the political compass.
Exactly. You will always, I think all three of us will always sit on either the left or the right. Doesn't matter. But the important thing is how do you have that conversation with someone who might oppose to you, like your values or your politics? And I think it's probably all about that, and how the media has weaponized and used that to divide.
It's true. I feel like people that weapon that you're talking about is teaching people to be more emotional or be more involved in these kind of things. So when you talk about them, they get really passionate, or they get really angry, or they get really emotional. And it's like that's what's causing the divide, isn't it? You can't have these kind of like conversations. You can't have debates and put your feelings on the line. It won't work. You're never going to solve anything that way. It's just people be angry at other people.
Yeah, exactly.
I say this because it's mad. He's saying this because I had a conversation on Saturday. With one of my mates, and we was talking about the Reform Party, and we was talking about elections and stuff, and I was saying, if I was going to vote for anyone, I might consider voting for them, just based on, I just don't want to vote for the red and the blues, because I've been talking about that a lot, and I was just saying, and he got super emotional. I've never even seen him like this before in my life.
He got
so angry, so angry that I was shocked. I didn't know. I was like, where did that just come from? I had no idea. It was just the strangest thing. So it ties into what you're saying about this stuff, and I reckon now that you've just said that,
let me guess,
that's what
he voted Labour.
I don't know what you voted at. I don't think you voted. Actually, I think he did vote at Labour. Actually,
100%.
But the point is that
see, that's what I mean. I've just proved that right now. You went, he's 100% Labour. See, we know. We know where that's coming from, and
we know his algorithm.
Well, you can pinpoint it, and that pinpoint has come from programming, and that programming, that emotional outburst that you get, is media driven. It's them saying, oh, if you vote for this, or if you think like this, you're far right. You're a racist. You're a this phobe, that phobe. You're an ist. You're an ism, and that's the media trying to weaponize people against coming together and hashing out ideas, and that's what it is. Unfortunately, people are so susceptible to it even now, and a lot of people within the freedom movement, quote unquote, because we don't really know what that means anymore, because people have split off and gone their own way.
It's so divided.
It's so divided, of course, and that's the programming. And what's ironic is that the same people that were screaming about, I am a free thinker, I can get in a room and speak to anyone with different ideas, they've all splintered off. They've all gone their own way now, and talking about other issues, that if you say, well, hang on a minute, it's a bit more nuanced than that, there's this and that, they go, no, you're a this, you're a that. Yeah. And I'm seeing it again and again and again, and that's programming. That's media programming, and sometimes people don't know that they're in it.
Yeah. This is what I'm saying. The way things are now, everyone wants things to be simplified. Sure. Black or white, red or blue.
Sure.
That's great. What these paradigms have been created.
But I would argue it's okay to be that, so long as you're open to discussion,
and to people's
and that's how I see it.
Yeah. That's the truth.
That's how I see it. So I would class myself as a conservative on the right. That's how I would see myself if I was to take a test, or ask me about values or where I stand on things. I think probably most likely I would be on the right, conservative. But it's not to say that I'm going to sit here and go, oh, you're on the left, I'm not going to speak to you. Like, that's mental. I like the old school where everyone got in a pub together and just, oh, I don't agree with that, but because of this, blah, blah. But anyways, England's playing, you know, they're in the final now. Let's watch that and just forget about it.
Yeah, like,
do you know what I mean? Like, that's how I
almost
view it.
nothing would stop people from just sitting down, having a banter and having some fun nowadays.
But now it's a case of you've got organisations who want to go out and either beat you up or kill you for having a different viewpoint now. Take Antifa, for example. Like, they're so-called anti-fascists who target anyone centre-left or beyond that for simply talking out about, let's say, transgender women going to men's prisons, or sorry, no, the other way around. It's transgender women going to women's prisons and things like that. And you talk about that and say, no, that's wrong.
Men would really appreciate that.
Well, no, they're saying transgender women.
No, the first one he said. So wait,
Yeah,
so
but
transgender? Sorry,
that'd be so
women.
dangerous. If a
Transgender
woman
is a
going to
man.
men's-
Is a
Oh,
man.
a man
transgender
going
woman is a
to a
man.
woman's prison.
Yeah, a transgender woman was a biological man.
Biological man,
going
yeah.
to a woman's prison.
Yeah. So saying that that's wrong.
That's messed up. And then they're just
yeah.
raping bare chicks in there.
But that happened though, right?
Yeah, it did.
It happened
did.
recently,
It has happened.
and he
In
had sex
Scotland.
with like 3 women or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
yeah. I
rapes.
remember reading
Mad.
about that was it a year or 2 years ago or something
Yeah,
like that?
it's
innit?
mad. But like, if you speak out against that and say, look, that's wrong, or you know, you don't think biological men should be in going to the same changing rooms or toilets as women and things like that, and you know, it becomes violent now. It's been weaponized
does.
so much.
It does.
It becomes violent, and
It does.
It shouldn't.
Definitely.
That is programming. It's complete media programming.
100%. I think the whole sort of woke LGBT. I can never get the fucking numbers, the letters right.
There's too many, yeah. LGBTQAAIIP+.
Oh, fuck me, there's even more.
I can't believe I actually know that. Because
What's AIIP?
Because they put...
asexual, ally, intersex. P is polyamorous, I think, or
Oh, shit.
yeah, and plus means it's inclusive.
extras,
I
something
can't
like
believe
that,
I know this. I'm sorry, that's actually embarrassing that I know this. But when you're a journalist and you look
just
into
the
this,
LGBT, I always say the B and the T
just
the wrong
drop
way.
everything else.
LGBTQ.
LGB and
Yeah,
you don't
LGBT.
flush it all away, man.
But
Like,
yeah,
don't need it.
I just think it is distracting and occupying a lot of people's emotions and thoughts right now.
Of course, yeah.
It is massively sort of like taking over their brain when they could just be getting on with their lives. It really don't bother. You know, some people will be surprised to hear this about me, but it really doesn't bother me at all, man. Like we've got. I think we've got a. I might. You know what? I probably shouldn't even say this, but we have I'd say a fairly large-sized homosexual community in the gym.
Large-sized what?
We got gay guys training in the gym,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
and you know, they don't bother me at all, innit? And some of them are quite open about it. It really don't bother me at all. Like, it honestly doesn't bother me. I guess the only thing that would ever bother me is if so if I don't know if I'm saying this right, a transsexual man, or is it a transsexual woman?
Transgender woman.
So if
to be
it's
a
a
biological
man who identifies as a woman, went into a female's changing room and my daughter or my missus was in there, that would very much
So
upset
there
me.
are
That would-
organisations now that would want to dox you, that would want to cause harm and cause grievance to you for simply having that opinion. And
Yeah,
that's how far the media has programmed people and twisted people into not wanting people to have that conversation.
Yeah.
And the establishment is to blame as well by affirming and to not have these open discussions and, turn a blind eye to it. And that's a big problem. It's a massive problem.
You know that we obviously we're talking about this stuff because we see it online and we see it in the media and whatever. But is this really happening in real life? Though?
Yeah,
That's what I
mean-
want to know, because I ain't seen that many transgender people in general. That's why I always try and look at it like that. Sometimes I go to myself, well, if I'm out and I saw loads of transgender people, maybe there's some sort of issue going on. And I've never seen any disputes outside of toilets because there's a transgender going in the toilet. I've never seen any of this stuff. And I
This is what I'm
understand
saying.
that we see it online, yeah, and we're all getting hyped up about it online. But is it really happening, or is it
because
just
it's a vocal minority?
Yeah,
and that's usually it.
The
It's a
extremists
vocal
of the group, isn't it? Yeah.
It's vocal minority that can get big engagement very quickly over a contentious issue. So obviously, if you look at the population and the demographics of the population, the representation doesn't fit what's happening on social media. So you are correct in that.
So it feels, isn't it? It's like, why don't we just? I think we need to be aware of what's going on. There's just a bunch of. I don't want to say like I'm not talking about like all of them, but there's just a bunch of crazy people talking really loud, and we're all listening.
They
to
are
entertaining.
online.
It's more like entertainment, isn't it?
This
More
is what
than
I'm saying.
anything.
It's occupying a lot of people's emotions and brain.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? It's occupying your brain when it doesn't need to. Like you said, there's a very small minority of people who are vocal about it.
Yeah.
Just let them get on with it, man.
Yeah, let them get
It's
on
all
with
good, isn't it? I mean, another thing that probably would upset me is, and it is really happening at the moment, is it's being like shoved down children's throats in school.
Yeah. Oh, massively.
I think it is from primary school onwards. Like my daughter's just finishing infants now. She's going into primary school next year. My daughter's school is very, very well aware of my opinions and my thoughts on that, and they're very accommodating to me, and I'm very sensitive about that sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
But
As
I
a
know
dad as well, like, it's extremely important. You want to protect your child.
exactly, yeah. But I know a lot of schools, they're not like that. They're really not like that, and they want to almost exclude the parents.
Yeah.
And not even tell them what days they're going to be learning. They're told it's in the module, but that is it. They're told, that's a topic within a module that they'll learn in school, but they'll never know when it is they're going to be taught that. They'll never know, what exactly is taught until the kid comes home from school and is like, Mum, what's a transex, or Dad, what's a transsexual?
Or non-binary or whatever,
like, and a child as young as 8, 9 years old, coming home and saying that's enough to make a parent like.
Yeah, I know.
It made me go fucking nuts. I'll be honest, like I would go absolute ape shit if my daughter came home asking me questions like that because she's been taught that at school. I would.
Well, did that actually happen?
No. Hazel, my daughter.
But are they teaching that in your?
They're teaching it in
has
primary
happened,
school.
yeah.
Are they teaching it in Hazel's primary school?
No, Hazel's not in primary. So Hazel's.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, she's finishing year 2 right now, so she's going into primary school from September next. School year.
And they're definitely teaching this in the schools.
100%. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
In England.
In England.
In England.
Yeah.
I
In
done
secondary school, it gets even peaker. It's really being
What I'm
like
talking
shoved
about
down
though.
there.
It's like, why there's not enough of it going on. Why are they teaching that sort of stuff?
This
in
is
school?
what I'm
Doesn't make any
saying.
sense.
It's
They're
being
gonna-
forced down people's throats,
yes.
and from the media in the public education, it's being forced down people's throats, and it's occupying a lot of people's emotions and.
Of course. I mean, because it's a shocking thing, right? And you would naturally react emotionally if you found out that you're. I did a video, I think it was last year, where I showed a curriculum that was being taught in schools, and it was. I'm sorry to repeat it because it's vile. It's utterly disgusting. But like a school curriculum was teaching like kids. Like how to like masturbate and stuff like that in like their modules.
And what age were the kids?
What age? And then it was showing like
what age was that being taught to though?
I think you're looking at like 8 to 12.
That's
like
insanity.
Like stuff like that.
Insanity.
Yeah, it's insane. And like it was showing like
most 8 to 12-year-olds haven't even developed sexual thoughts or feelings.
And it was like
that's the real question.
yeah.
Fucking hell, that's weird.
And it's like
That's borderline,
hyper sexualization within like curriculum, and you show it. And I mean, I was reading it out like just I can't believe like I'm having to read this out to warn parents that this is happening.
Where's children's services when you need them? Like that's
mental.
That is
homeschooling. That's the only way now.
for sure.
I literally
If you
said
can
that,
afford
yeah.
it.
No, it's
If
true,
you
it's
can
true.
afford
No,
it.
it's true. It's true.
That's the
how
only
I
way
feel.
to get rid of it. That's the only way to get rid of it. Is to pull it out and say no. We're not doing it.
There's a very difficult sort of fine line balance to me, and I've spoken to so many parents that do home education for their children. It's like I don't want to sort of deprive my children of that whole social element.
that's a social side. That's
But you could always create a community, right?
100%, and there's massive. There is big communities of parents that teach home education to their children, but at the same time, that like I grew up, I went to school. That feeling of going to school, bumping into your friends, this and that. I know it's all a big sort of system created to sort of develop you into a cog to join the machine and the workforce and whatever, but that there is that social element to it, which was when I look back, it was a beautiful time in my life, and it was probably some of the best years of my life, you know, growing
But
up.
it's
Like,
building blocks to being a human being as well. I think that social aspect is important. Like, you don't want to become some. But then again, I do know a lot of people that were homeschooled when I was younger,
100%.
and they're all right.
Both is
But
fine.
you're talking about missing out and the FOMO.
So it's just like, for me, what I 100% will do is I will find out the days they're going to be learning that stuff. And my daughter won't go to school on those days. 100%.
fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, there are lots of homeschooling programs, like you said. You can build your own community with other parents, and like they meet like the other kids as well. And you can do like outdoor activities. I know, like
They
you guys
do
are
that,
very
yeah.
outdoor, like focused. So you could like take them out. I know some in the rural areas like Canada, some take them out like hunting and stuff like that, or they do like
Learning
life
real
lessons.
life skills
Yeah,
as
like
well, which
Boy
they don't
Scouts,
teach in
but
school.
like hardcore like stuff, like how to build like proper campfires and like do like outdoorsy, because kids aren't taught that now.
How to use a bow and arrow.
Yeah, how to
man.
how to like provide.
Cut an animal open and put it on the fire. These are
And
real
to
life
not
skills,
be
man.
squeamish about that sort of things.
100%, man.
And those are life lessons worth like a lot more than just
Going on
sitting
the
at a
Deliveroo
desk.
app and ordering a takeaway, man. You know what? That right there is gold dust, man. Teaching your children how to really fend in a world, you know, that potentially one day might not have technology in this and that. Because for sure, imagine tomorrow, all of a sudden, we didn't have all the things we have technology.
That's a good point,
I
actually.
think the world's population, the Western population would just diminish overnight, innit? Like,
And I think adding to that, you said about technology, teaching kids that they don't need to depend on it.
exactly.
I think that's one thing that
Fundamental
people,
basics before.
because we're seeing now like the iPad generation, is it, where kids are just given iPads and then that will just stop them from I don't know, like throwing a tantrum or like But if you teach the
I
child,
put my hands up. I've done it a couple.
it's I know I understand.
Every
I'm not a
parent's
dad.
probably done it, man.
I'm not a dad, so I can't really comment, and I can't tell people how to parent.
There's a
but I
balance.
want
There's
to
a
be
balance.
dad.
Like there's a balance.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand it before becoming a dad. Like I really want to be a dad. So
It's just imagine someone poking you for 20 minutes, and then you could give him this little thing, and they would stop poking you.
Yeah. And that's
Just that.
like, I guess like it's a learning curve for dads and mums as well, I guess, instead of like the comfort and the easy way out, I guess. But I can't comment really because I'm not a dad, so I can't.
But I think we were talking about something like this recently, innit? With the whole sort of TikTok generation, innit? Like, giving a child an iPad and just leaving them alone, it's numbing down their brains.
Of course.
And it's actually, go on, tell me, you were telling me about it.
Yeah,
This
so
is the first.
the most recent generation is the first generation that scored lower IQ than the generation before them.
Yeah.
And it's the first time it's happened in like 100 years or some shit
Yeah.
like that. So
That's a lot of
It's mad.
factors to that.
Yeah.
Food, water,
yeah, everything. But this, I
digital.
do think
TikTok,
that this is done
iPads.
because I find myself, like, this is one thing which is why I stopped going on Instagram as soon as I wake up, because I found, because I work from home, so I do a lot of editing at home. I'm way more productive, throughout my day if I don't go on Instagram for the first hour of my when I actually wake up, and and that's real. Like, that's me doing the actual testing myself and looking at how much I do throughout the day and how distracted I am. And I noticed there's definitely a correlation between me going on my phone in the morning and how much work I get done, my concentration throughout the day. So if these kids are like sitting there on TikTok 24/7 whenever they get a chance, this doing something to their brain. It's dumbing them up big time.
I'm having a problem with that as well, with like distracting. I go on Instagram and I'm just flicking through brain rot reels every day. And
I'm gonna share you some gold dust now. Yeah,
All right.
This is the best day you'll ever have. You want the best start to your day. Honestly, this is real now.
It's going to be something crazy. You got to jump out.
You got to jump out of the plane. Yeah. First things first. You got to sleep on the plane overnight and then jump out.
Yeah. No, for real.
That'll wake you up.
You got me. You got to sleep on the plane and then jump out. No. But this is really, it's just the basics, yeah. So you wake up, straight away hydrate yourself, yeah. Just water, nothing else, just water. That's what your body needs. You've just slept around 8 hours and not hydrated yourself for a whole 8 hours. You're dehydrated when you wake up. Straight away drink, try and get like a couple of glasses, just shove it down your throat. You might not feel thirsty, but you are dehydrated. Shove like a good 2-3 glasses down your throat, straight away.
2-3, yeah.
Number one. Number two, go outside and get some fresh air, yeah. Just straight away go. Don't dare look at the TV or your phone or nothing like that. Just go outside, breathe some fresh air for 5 minutes, even a cut 2 minutes or whatever. Yeah. Then, if you can be bothered to do this shit, just a stretch. I do like to do these little 10-minute morning yoga things, yeah?
Right.
So by then I am actually looking at I do it on YouTube, you know, whatever. But I'll do it so often now, I don't even need to look at the TV now because I use this one, which is called Cassandra's 10-minute morning yoga or whatever. So I do the same one every day, yeah? So she I can just literally look at what I'm doing and she'll say, right, go into your whatever pose or whatever, and then I'll just do that or whatever, bring your left leg out or whatever. That then there, you've now hydrated your body, you've breathed some fresh air, and you've got blood pumping around your body. That little combination there takes you the best part of, it's a 10-minute morning yoga, it's like 15 minutes, literally 15 minutes. What you do from there, the rest of the day will go amazing for you. What I like to do after that is I have my breakfast, steak and eggs every day.
Very nice.
Every day.
Yeah.
That's
Carnival.
Whatever, yeah. Get that in me or whatever. But even if you don't have steak and eggs, you do something else or whatever. Some people don't like to eat for the first couple of hours, they're having some sort of fasted cardio day. But that little thing in the morning there, if you do that every day, your day will go completely different.
I'm doing that. I'm definitely
do
doing
that.
It's just such a little thing.
Because that morning is so important. Like, if you can dumb your brain down in the morning, surely you can wake yourself up as well. I'm sure there's definitely things. So I'm definitely going to do that. I'm gonna do that.
You don't have to do yoga or whatever. It's just
stretching.
Yeah, well,
grounding.
Ground. Yeah, if you can do the yoga outside on the grass, I did that today. It was fucking amazing.
Yeah, great.
Where'd you do it?
It was in Cliffside Park, so it was a bit after.
You went outside your house? Oh, so it was after you woke up?
Yeah, it was a bit after I woke up because I literally woke up and took Andreas straight to his little football lesson. And then I just did some yoga on the thing. But yeah, if you can do that grounding, do a little bit of exercise. The main thing is just getting blood pumping around your body. And you don't need to absolutely kill yourself, go for a 3-hour mountain trek. And you just need to get the blood pumping around your body.
If I did like 10 burpees, is that?
I mean, I'd say you need to do a little bit more than that. 10 burpees is what?
10? I can barely get about 4 or 5
That's
hours.
like 30 seconds.
That was the maximum I meant.
Yeah. I mean, if you want, you could go for a light little jog, a 10-minute jog just round the block or something. Like it have a similar effect, and then just do a little 2-minute stretch. Stretch your hammy, stretch your quads, stretch your tricep, whatever. The main thing is just getting that blood pumping round and loosening yourself up.
Though, if I train too much, I know we've gone way off topic. I don't know how.
That's cool.
But all right, if I do train too much, though, I do find that my day is a bit like kind of just staring into the distance because I don't know why that happens.
You mean like
brain
what?
fog?
Like
I get like you just get a bit like daydreamy. Like,
you mean like training in the gym? You mean? Or?
Yeah, just training in general. So I could get up and I'll get ready and I'll go train like an hour after I wake up, and then I'll come back and I'll just be very, very daydreamy.
You probably haven't put the right nutrition in your body. You probably haven't put enough carbs in your body. That sounds like the. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you get your main sort of big workout in the day, if you put a nice bit of carbs in before the workout and straight after the workout, you're probably not going to feel that. Try and put some good carbs in, nice complex carbs, and then at the end of the workout, some short carbs just to get it straight, whatever.
Brown rice,
a bit of protein,
Brown rice.
Brown rice, good. It's good.
Cool.
I like brown rice. Right. I prefer white rice. Though.
This is proper gym bro talk. There's me fucking pencil.
Yeah. We went a little bit off topic there, but honestly,
That's cool.
If you do those little things there, your day will go amazing, honestly. And even if you have a fucking coffee after that, you're gonna be like
nice.
rocket fuel bouncing around.
We started this by talking about the youth and how they're getting brain rot. How do we stop that? How do we actually? Because that you can't get them off it as well. That.
Yeah, what I do?
How do we do?
What I do? You do it from a young age. I do exactly what I said. Just with like Andreas, my son. He's not even 2 years old. But I just do that in front of him, and he started doing it with me. I sit there doing the yoga. He's just sitting there doing the same things with me. I'll stand up, lift my leg, do a high, low.
It's not even that generation. I mean, obviously, I'm talking about like when they start getting to a certain age where this is going to start mattering, like 10, 12, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And once you're in that world, it's hard to get them out. And that's the generation that counts, I suppose, isn't it? Because if you're going to make them dumb from that age and they're going to get dumber, this is going to go to some...
You have to start, honestly, you have to start young. And even if you don't, some parents have... you know, they've gone down the iPad road from a young age, and you know that now it's too late. You give them the iPad, you try to take it off them, they start kicking off and screaming. And whatever. You have to just put an end to it at some point. You limit it. Like with Hazel, I let her have her iPad for maximum like an hour a day or something like that. Certain days she don't get it at all. You know, like if we're doing, I do
It's
a lot
discipline, isn't it?
Yeah. But this is the thing. If you're doing activities with your child, they don't generally want those things, man.
True.
I take, you know, like I do a lot of stuff with my children. You know, like I take Hazel out everywhere. She's at doing this one day, that, you know, some new place. I took her to this place in Colindale called Inflator Nation, these giant sort of bouncy castles with slides and stuff. Do you think they would rather sit on an iPad or do that?
Yeah, but you're talking about people work and stuff, innit? It's hard to do that. Like that.
Yeah,
that, like,
I mean, I get that, but number one priority in my life is my children. That is,
I'm sure that's everyone, but people still got to pay their bills.
100%, man. But this is what I'm saying. They've set themselves up for failure, and it's not their fault. You know, they were born into this sort of system. And I don't even want to blame their parents either. They were born into this system, and like what I was saying about the public education, you're just sort of being trained to become a cog in the system. You know, to join the workforce, pay taxes, and keep the whole system going, innit? Like, and you have to at some point just sort of figure out with yourself, what are your priorities in life? Obviously your children, and then, you know, what comes next, you know, your time, you know, you got to make work and all those things work for that, not the other way around, because a lot of people just spend their whole lives working like a dog, you know, a 9-to-5 job to make some money, to pay their bills, pay their rent, you know, their utilities, this and that. And then once they've paid all that off, they've got like a little bit left in the money in the bank to do fuck all with at the end of the month. And then they just do the same thing every month. It's not a real way of living, man. You're working to maintain, to carry on working to maintain.
You'd be surprised at the amount of people that actually enjoy that.
There's not, you know what? And if you enjoy it, hands up to you, man, because that is all life is. You have to do what you're passionate about and what you love, and if that is what you want to do, then you found your purpose in life.
I think
hands up to you, man.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because I speak to friends who, you know, they ask about, you know, my sort of career path and, you know, with journalism and, you know, what my day-to-day looks like, and then they would say, I couldn't do that, and then I turn around and say, well, I couldn't do your 9-to-5, mate. So I guess everyone has their own role to play in that respect, but at the same time, it's like, I mean, I'm a bit biased. I couldn't ever go back to do a 9-to-5 now, like, especially with the culture around work, especially with, like, I don't know. I mean, it all ties back to, you know, attitude and, you know, we talk about, I guess, wokeness, social revolutionary stuff within workforce, you know, having to abide by DEI and, you know, ESG and all of these things.
What's that?
Environmental social governance. So, like, it's a big thing that's in, like, the corporate world, I guess, or within the workforces. It's like a set of rules, or it's to me, it's like programming, but it's a set of rules that how companies should interject with, let's say, they have to talk about climate change, for example, and hit targets for certain things like that, like diversity and inclusion and stuff like that, with different demographics of people, and they have to hit certain targets of that. Whereas it should be, I'm more of a meritocracy kind of person, like, you know, it's merit based. So if you're good at the job, if you're good at the job, I don't care what background you are, what class you are, what skin color, it doesn't matter. As long as you're good at the job, that's it. Whereas now it's all focused around if you're gay, if you're transgender, if you're not white, if you're, you know,
the
all
whole
these
world
sort of
has
things.
become this whole box ticking exercise.
Exactly.
Rather than
I just couldn't go back. I couldn't go into the workforce now because that's so prevalent, and that would do my head in. Whereas they would look at my job or your jobs and go, no, I couldn't do that. It's just, you know, not my thing.
You see
it's
that
weird.
it's become so painfully evident right now with the Metropolitan Police, man.
Oh yeah, 100%.
they've spent years and years in recruiting new officers, but focusing on box ticking,
Sure.
rather than merit. And now we're at that stage now where look at them. I'm just like this. When I see them, I'm just like, oh God, no. Like, oh wow. You know, like it's literally a bunch of kids. If you don't notice that, like the police are literally like. I look at them and I think.
Did you see that Nana incident?
Which
it's called
one?
The Nana incident, where it was like this. It was like this woman who had like really, really short hair, and she arrested some young girl. I think she was like 15 or whatever. Took her back to her parents' house, and there was an altercation. And the 15-year-old girl was, I think, autistic, and she said, "You look like my lesbian aunt," to this police officer. She took great offence to that, and then arrested her again and took her away because she was so angry, this police officer, that she compared her to her nana. So yeah, lesbian nana is what she was called, and it was like the lesbian nana incident. And this police officer looked like in her early 20s.
Damn.
And it's basically you're training these activists to go into institutions like that, like the police force, the Met Office, or the Met Police Force, the Home Office, education.
They're supposed to be completely impartial.
It's supposed to be impartial. It should be all to do with merit.
Yeah.
That's how I view things. And like you said, box ticking, but it leads to problems like that.
Massive problems, man. Like I'm looking at like proper problems. You know, like I see videos of like. When you see videos of like, there was one outside my friend's shop. He's got a supplement shop down the road in Walthamstow. Now there was 2 Metropolitan Police officers, both male, and there was 3 young schoolboys. I found out they were 13 years old. Okay. Now I don't know what happened, what the issue was, but one of the police officers was trying to detain one of the 13-year-olds, and he wasn't physically able to detain a 13-year-old.
Oh no.
The other 2 13-year-olds weren't even getting involved, so it was literally just a sort of one-on-one between a fully grown man police officer and a 13-year-old boy. The other police officer looked scared, wasn't doing anything to help, was standing there, you know, doing something on his radio, pretending like, you know, he was.
It's because the standards have lowered.
But this is what I'm saying.
The training
you know,
standards.
when I was growing up, fuck me, man. As a 13-year-old, I think most police officers were like 6 foot.
Yeah.
Built similar build to me.
Intimidating.
Yeah. And to be honest, they were probably a lot more friendlier as well.
Oh yeah.
Like, but it was just like these days now, I think if a police officer had to arrest me, they would probably have to ask my permission. And then I would probably have to be in a good mood. You know, if I didn't want to be arrested, I don't think they'd be able to arrest me. Like this is where we've got to now. Like,
yeah,
it's fucking nuts.
It's mad. Do you think that when were you talking about when you saw police your build? Like, how old was you when you're talking about that?
Do you remember back in the day, there was a police officer called Robocop? Do you remember Robocop?
No, but I heard about him.
I hope Robocop out there somewhere is still a police officer. I don't know if he still is. I hope he's out there. I hope he hears this because he was the best police officer in the world. He was the most friendliest guy. He definitely went gym. He was a bodybuilder. Back then, I used to ride a lot of motorbikes. I can't remember what bike I had. It was always like big sort of CC super bikes. And he was so cool, man. He'd come down. He'd be like, oh, let me have a go on your bike. I'll be like, go on then. I'll go on then. And then he'd just take my bike for a spin back there. I didn't even have insurance. I don't think I had a license or whatever, you know, like. But he was so cool. He was just like,
you didn't know that.
Trust me, he probably did know that. But he was just like, boys, you know, just, you know, behave, keep
so
it
like
cool.
He's part of the community.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. But just behave, cool, you know, and then that's it. It'd be whatever. And we did used to, you know, cause a lot of trouble and this and that. But he'd come around and he'd make it sort of almost like a fun element, and we probably wouldn't cause as much trouble now. Do you know what I'm saying?
Because you have like respect.
Yeah.
You had that respect.
I just almost saw him as almost like he almost crossed the threshold of becoming like a friend. I wouldn't say a friend, but he was getting, you know, because I'd see him and I'd be like, yes, Robocop.
You liked him. You didn't dislike him.
There was a few times I definitely did something wrong, and he 100% know I did something wrong, but he didn't arrest me, you know, like, and it was just like that sort of breed of police officer, part of the community, kept things peaceful.
Yeah. What, letting criminals do crime?
Stealing the bike.
It wasn't crime. It was just kids stupid shit, and do you know what I'm saying?
I'm joking,
But yeah,
I don't know if
I mean, that
police
era
one,
is completely done with now,
It's
man.
done.
Those police officers.
That's one instance, though. You think that was there's one Robocop in every area or something? That was just your
He
area.
was the cool guy. There was
'Cause
other
the
police
reason-
officers. They definitely weren't.
The reason,
Like,
the reason why I said that before though is because you got that one police officer and you were probably smaller and thought about police officers bigger because you were smaller. They weren't necessarily
Maybe,
bigger.
maybe,
They were
maybe.
just you were smaller. I can't remember police officers looking any different from what they are. They're always a bit
Bruv,
fat.
have you lost your goddamn
I don't
mind?
even know. I can't remember. I'm chatting shit.
Have you
I'm
seen
just
the
talking for
police
no
officer
reason.
on the bruv? I swear, I posted I think it was during my campaign. I posted a picture of a police officer. It looked like a child. It was a child, 100, but it was
when
real.
but when you were 16, when you looked at a police officer, he looked like probably an older man. That's what I'm saying. So
Nah,
because the reason why he looks like a child is because you're older, and the reason why he looked older when he was younger is because he was.
There probably is an element
Yeah.
to that, but no, it definitely has. Things have shifted a lot since then, man. The police
Yeah.
officers now they're little, they're skinny,
Yeah.
or fat. Or like we're getting all sorts of box ticking exercises apiece.
Yeah.
People fitting into categories apiece
Yeah.
for the box ticking exercises.
Absolutely.
rather than employing them on merit.
And it's not just the Met, it's
It's
firefighters
everything, yeah.
as well. Their standards have dropped massively. It's not good, and that can even airlines as well, like airline engineers and people like that, or pilots as well. In America, Boeing have had their trouble because of DEI, and it just lowers. It's sort of when it becomes box ticking. It's actually
lowers the
dangerous.
standards. Yeah,
it lowers the
100%.
standards, and it lowers trust as well within society, and that's not good. You want a high trust society. You don't want police officers having to patrol the areas. You want to be able to, you wouldn't obviously leave your front door unlocked or your car unlocked.
It creates a shit service, really.
Of
That's
This
all.
was a massive part of your campaign, though, wasn't it? Like getting more trust from police officers and making
Yeah.
sure and like
You did the training
paying them
thing, was
more.
it?
Yeah, it was really good. It was good.
Pushed
It was
out the
good.
training thing. You were like, you want to
I
raise
was
the
literally,
standards.
right. That's what.
Congratulations, 25,000 votes, was it?
26,000.
26,
something.
wow.
Yeah.
That's really good, man.
I guess it was a little mini accomplishment, and it was a little. Yeah, I definitely felt the love. There was 26,000 Londoners out there who voted
incredible,
for me. I
mate.
was happy
That is
for that.
mad.
You should
But yeah.
literally be. I don't know why you're not running for an MP now. Like,
No fucking
No?
way. Didn't you see? I think there's so many reasons why I wouldn't do that.
no?
Yeah, no, so many reasons why I wouldn't do that. One of the main reasons is it's probably the sort of the power they hold and the accountability as well. A local MP doesn't really do anything. Members of parliament, they get together in there, they all argue with each other. Prime Minister puts something forward, this and that, and then for any sort of real change to happen, it takes a year or two for some
You
legislation
could be different. You could be the one that changes things.
I could be one MP in there I'd be that one MP in there who is basically sticking out like a sore thumb that
That's
no one
great.
else wants. Yeah.
Who cares?
We need that,
Yeah.
right? We need that. We do
Lone
need that.
wolves and all that.
Yeah, we need that, right? But I think
I understand what you mean, though.
Yeah, Mayor of London holds a massive amount of power, and he's almost accountable to almost no one. I mean, he's accountable to the London Assembly, but he doesn't have to do what they say. He doesn't have to take on board what they say. He just does what he wants with the budget, makes the decision. So that right there, in some aspects, I think the mayor holds more power than the Prime Minister. Certainly in London.
Certainly in London, right?
Yeah, he holds a massive amount of power, but that is probably the only political position I'll probably run for. I probably will go for it again in 4 years' time.
You should.
And I probably will I'm definitely gonna
Just
get more
beat
than
26K.
Oh no, I'll definitely be that. I learned so much from that.
Great.
The amount of things I learned from that was unreal. Such a memorable experience, and learned a lot from it.
Good.
But what was we were saying about the
Sorry.
No, we were saying about I was basically trying to reform the whole police, man. Make it something that serves the people.
The thing that you're talking about when you're younger, that would be a massive help, innit, to the youth that are all stabbing each other up. Having a police officer that they can respect and talk to, I suppose it probably
Nobody
deter a lot of
respects
them.
the police anymore.
And
innit?
you were saying that to do
Nobody
that,
trusts them.
how do we need to get more like respectable police officers, more respectable candidates? We have to hire the threshold to get into the police force in the first place, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
Well, this is it. If they're recruiting police on a box ticking exercise, and most of those police are from sort of a minority, you're not really engaging with the majority in the community there. They're in recruiting a large amount of the LGBT community into the police force. But then that is a minority, and we're seeing it as well with like you said, we're seeing it with everything. Like for example, even the cabinet right now, the Prime Minister's cabinet. This is the largest ever amount of LGBT people.
It's like, who cares?
Yeah,
like, honestly, like just do your job.
This
Yeah,
is what
You're
exactly.
elected to do a job.
Exactly,
I don't care.
exactly.
I hate it when people do this. When they, you know, you have a people's vote. You finally get a representative, and then they go out and then they scream about their identity. It's like, I don't care who you are.
They shouldn't
You're there
have
to
identities,
represent
really.
everyone else. Like, it's not about you,
Yeah,
for
it's
crying
the
out
truth,
loud.
it's the truth,
That's a
it's the truth.
narcissistic thing to do. To finally get this position of power and then just to talk about yourself. It's
Shove
like,
it
that's
down.
not why you're there. Thank you. Stop.
Oh, and that is another major reason why I wouldn't be a local MP. Is, No, another major. Not to do with that. Is they all had to be sworn in. This I don't know if they ever.
Oh,
had
the
to do,
oath.
Yeah. Did they have to do that before? I don't ever remember.
No, that's always been a thing.
Oh, it's always
The
been a
oath
thing.
has always
right.
been a
So
thing.
yeah, I would.
I
be,
just watched someone like he did the opposite. What did he do?
Well, no,
Do you know what?
you're talking about that protest. He swore in under protest.
Yeah, under protest.
Right, yeah. So he still swore in, but this is a thing. That's a major, a line I wouldn't be able to cross there. I wouldn't be able to swear allegiance.
Clive
to,
Lewis.
Yeah, I think I saw
oath to King under protest.
Yeah. So I mean, he done something, I would say, good there. He's maybe shed light on some issues that need to be shed light on. But for me, I would get to that point there, and then they'd say, "Do you swear your allegiance to the king?" I'd just be like, "Hell, fucking no."
What difference does
Like-
it make anyway? Because that's the reason why I even got that in my phone is because I thought we might talk about this. Well, I
At
don't
the
even
end
know
of
what
the
that
day, you're
means.
just saying it's just a couple of words and whatever. But your words are meaningful, right? If you can just
When he says under protest, what is that actually? What's he declaring?
Well,
What's he actually doing there?
Right. So I actually have a different view on this. Obviously, I'm not pro Charles at all. I'm not a royalist at all. There's a lot of goings on within the royal family that I really, really disagree with. He done that under protest because he believes that the monarchy should be abolished. So he doesn't believe in the monarchical institution. Swearing the oath within Parliament, because of course it was originally
I didn't
the
actually
Crown.
know he did that because he wants the monarchy.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
'Cause
So
he
I
doesn't
was
believe
mistaken
in the-
there. So yeah, maybe that isn't an area of
Yeah,
that
and
needs some light shedded on it.
See, to me, it goes back to the conversation we had about it's not about you.
Yeah.
So when they go in and say, well, I'm not, I don't believe in this. I don't, it's a load of, it's like, look, this is the procedure. This is tradition. This has happened since it was created.
Yeah.
Like, you want to modernize it. You want to make it progressive. Like, how far do you want to push that?
Yeah.
So in my view, bit of a traditional stance. You're not there you're not there for you. You're there to
your
represent
constituents.
for your constituents. You're there for other people. So you making a hoo-ha, I'm protesting under the oath because I don't agree. It's like, look, mate, you're there because people got you there. You're there because your constituents voted for you, and not everyone's going to agree with you on that.
Yeah.
So it's a case of shut up and do your job.
Yeah, that's too personal. We got too personal.
Yeah,
I suppose
and
that makes
to me,
sense. Yeah.
look, I get it. There's going to be people voting for certain people there who are voted on their principles or on their view of things. I get that, but unless you can prove that, and unless you're if you're a mainstream candidate like Labour or Tory or Lib Dem or whatever, I'm sorry. There are so many people that vote for your mainstream parties that have vastly different opinions. They only do it out of protest. You see, this general election that we've just had, the turnout for Labour was really low. They actually had a really bad election, despite them winning the majority. It was a low turnout,
Reform, wasn't it?
and it was mostly because they didn't want the Tory party in. And I agree. I wanted 0 seats for the Tory party. I didn't want a single Tory party MP to stand, and I wanted more to reform. Because they're different. They're not part of the, well, I don't know necessarily, but they seem to be not part of
They seem the better
that.
option out
The
of-
better option out of every single one.
Best of the bad bunch.
Best of the bad bunch, exactly. And so when these mainstream parties get elected, they're getting elected because people are falling for the trap of blue or red. So, unfortunately, if you're going to go up there and start saying, well, I protest the oath because, I believe in... It's like, mate, those are not what your constituencies vote for. It's not like Reform, where it's like they came out and said, this is what we believe in. If you're with us, vote for us. That's it. And if it's not in the manifesto, keep it quiet.
Yeah. I mean,
You're there for other people.
You are there as a public servant. You're there to serve the people there.
Exactly.
But the only issue I have with that oath is, now, some people might find this a bit of a surprise for me to say. I am not anti-monarch. I'm actually very pro-monarch.
So am I.
Very
am I. And a lot of people are surprised to hear that from me as well.
Yeah. I wasn't surprised when you just said that. I thought you'd be pro-monarch as well.
Okay.
But
the institution, not the people.
The idea, I'm very pro.
Because it's identity, it's heritage, it's culture.
100%. I'm very much pro the idea of a monarch, of a king who leads their people.
A good king.
A good king with morals and integrity.
Yeah.
But we know right now the current old Charlie boy is not a good king.
No.
He doesn't have morals or integrity. No. And he's probably something far...
And an agenda as well.
Part of the global agenda.
Absolutely,
whatever. And he's probably something far more nefarious than I want to start going into discussing right now. But, so for me, I could never swear my allegiance to that man.
No, I agree.
That couldn't be done. That would be a the hard line there. They asked me, do you swear your allegiance to King Charles? And I'd just be like, no, I don't.
So that's why you couldn't become an MP.
That's a hard line.
And I agree. I agree with you.
Could protest.
I agree with you.
But like I said, I am actually very pro-monarch, man. If you look back in history, in history, whatever, we'll talk about history another day. But if you look back in history, some of the kings of this country were fucking great men.
Yeah,
like
they were
really
leaders.
Great men, and I would follow. I'm not naturally a follower, but I would follow some of those kings. You look like Richard the Lionheart. Some of them. But I'm just saying, go back in those days. Look back in those days. There, yeah. England goes to war. The king is the man at the fucking front of the army, leading into battle with his sword. He's dodging fucking
Isn't that
arrows.
just the way it's recorded, though?
Huh?
Isn't that just the way it's recorded? How
You're
likely?
right. I mean, it is his story. We don't know exactly how
it's
it happened.
eyewitness testimonies as well. I guess.
Oh, okay.
Journalism. The victor writes his story. It's his story. But look, there's no disputing. Back in those days, the king was there on the battlefield. If England went to war, the king went to war. Right,
and there's
now,
proof of that.
Yeah, there is proof of that. So that there is fucking honourable. Honourable. He is fighting for his country. Right now, fuck me, Jesus Christ.
Can you imagine Charles going to war with Ukraine, doing a 1-to-1 with Putin, like fist fight?
That I would. No. Oh god, that
I'd pay for that.
But you know what? I tell you one thing about Putin. I think he'd fucking do it. I think if
1-to-1,
if Charles, I tell you what, if Charles offered him a 1-to-1, Putin would be like, "Let's go fucking right now."
Course
but he's ex-Vinky anyway.
now.
What's the? He was part of the
KGB.
Yeah, he's trained. He's on stuff.
But this is what I'm saying. Yeah, fuck what the media say, whatever. Yeah, you look at Russia. Yeah, their hierarchy is very sort of clear. I would say you know who the man at the top is. And you know who the man is calling the shots. Right here, you don't really know who the fucking man at the top is. There's there's
no transparency. We don't know what's going on.
And you don't really know who's calling the shots or whatever. And I there was a picture circulating of was it a picture or a video circulating of Putin? He's on a horse with his top off.
Oh, is it a bear or something?
Yeah, like
he's
riding a horse with no saddle, just holding the horse with his top off through the valley in somewhere in Russia. Like, I'm just like, fuck me, could this get any more masculine? Yes. Like, he's showing some sort of leadership, and you compare that to like fucking Biden right now.
No, honestly, I know.
Oh my God. I mean, he don't know his left ball from his right at the moment, does he?
Sad. No, I actually find it sad now.
It's beyond comical. You're right. It's not even comical.
It's just like, elder abuse.
Yeah. Literally.
Like, they're just chucking this guy out there and just make him, just say a few lines, just do it.
Some of the things he said. Did he? I honestly, I don't even know if someone edited this or not. He was like, he said something about I was fucking your wife or something in a speech or something. He accidentally said it, and everyone's just like, what? Like, I don't even know.
I didn't see that.
Okay,
Wow.
no.
Like, he's
That must be
spurted something
edited.
I could have been edited.
Yeah.
But I don't even know whether things are true or not now.
Yeah, I know.
The waffle that's coming out of his mouth is just like, it's unreal, isn't it?
It's insane, dude. Honestly, America. I mean, I see America as like the last bastion of like some sort of freedom in terms of like the Constitution, the First Amendment, Second Amendment, all of that. I feel bad.
It's like the newest sort of. Well, I mean, it's the superpower around the world, but it's like the newest state, really, isn't it? It's the
newest country. Yeah,
the newest country.
Or
So
one of
they're
the-
still sort of developing, like, and you know, like,
yeah,
I mean,
they're still a baby country, really.
you
Like,
look
I know
at-
there's others, but you know, they're as a superpower and how influential America are. But I think with the Constitution, the First Amendment, you know, the right to assemble, freedom of speech, you know, all of that. I think personally, I think it's the most beautifully written piece of legislation because it protects the people. You know, it opens
It
with
always
"we
comes
the
back
people,"
to that,
and it comes to that. It's to do with, you know, your rights, and and that was inspired by us, the Magna Carta, which we had at one point, but it obviously has fizzled out and it's not used anymore.
Yep.
And we had a constitution, but it's not used. And the system of governance here has just changed so drastically that now people feel so disenfranchised because the establishment holds the keys. The royals don't really have that much power anymore. They're more of a tourist attraction, but they do have some things. They still do the royal assent, sign off legislation, but still it's too sluggish. Whereas over there, it's quick pace. It's orders that signs off
This is
quickly
what I'm
and
saying,
get
because
things
we're
done.
such an old country now, you know, like one
Yeah.
of the oldest establishments in the world. It's just evolved so much and it's corrupted so much, and it's just
Yeah, of
become
course.
this big, just like, I
It
don't
needs
even
to
know
strip back.
back
I
to
think.
the basics.
Back
And if
to
we could just go
basics,
back to the Magna
less
Carta or
government.
something, less government, exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and that's where America is right now. You know, they're sort of
It's expanding, but
It's
I'll tell
expanding,
you
but
what,
they're still-
hanging on at least.
the basics are still there, aren't they? Yeah.
And that's why, in my view, I think we should show support for our brothers and sisters over in America.
Brothers
I
and
think.
sisters over in the pond, eh?
Yeah, in the Yanks. Yeah, that's my view anyway. Some people might disagree.
Yeah, well, I think we've this has been a fucking amazing show. Is there anything else you want to hit on before we
Any juicy leaks before you go?
You asked about these links, man.
I know there's
We know
some
you
there.
get them.
We want to get the juicy leaks.
I guess the recent leak that I managed to get, is about geoengineering, and that's tens of millions of pounds have been pumped in through the education system that touches on projects all to do with geoengineering, stratospheric aerosol injection, so putting chemicals into the atmosphere to either brighten clouds or to create rainfall. To create artificial rain in order to combat global warming. I put out some freedom of information requests not so
I
long
saw
ago.
your post, yeah.
And I asked the government whether they were taking part in any projects, if there are funding, if there's any consent on this. And they came back with a load of scientific projects that are, they say, is hypothetical scenarios. But then there was another section that was funding all through universities to do with all of these projects. And when you go through them, and I asked them through another email, are there any physical experimentations? And after their reply, they said, well, the 327 projects plus the extra 7, if you include stratospheric aerosol injection, there may be projects that were physical experiments.
Wow.
So when they came out with that, I was like,
Bit conflicting there. Eh?
yeah, yeah. And I thought, and the only bit of consent, because I asked about have there been meetings, peer review meetings with the public? Are the public aware that, you know, you're either planning or have been doing some sort of these experimentations, possible physical experimentations? They said, yeah, we set up this conference with 80 people. And that was in 2011. And this has happened for like a long time. So to me, that was like, that's not enough, obviously. And you're painting a narrative because you're getting experts in that are part of the Met Office, that are part of the government, scientists to be there.
They just, out of the blue, it was about a month ago, he just started talking about it on the Met Office, talking about cloud
Dubai.
seeding.
Yeah, because of Dubai.
Dubai was a massive, open...
Because I didn't believe it. I thought that it was... I didn't believe any of that for a long, long time. And then I saw the Dubai story. I don't know if you know about that.
Yeah, the floods, you remember?
The floods. And I sort of went, hang on a minute, there's something here. And just before that, there was a story coming out of San Francisco where the government kept under wraps. They didn't make it, they made it public, but not enough for people to know about. In San Francisco Bay, they signed off an experiment where it was called marine cloud brightening, where they would throw salt crystals into the atmosphere just above the clouds to brighten these clouds along this area in order to reflect sunlight, to slow down global warming. And the public wasn't made aware of this. And the story came out and people were outraged. And the reason why they kept it under wraps was to prevent any protest or prevent anyone from
that could
stopping.
be directly contributing to global warming or
Exactly.
whatever they're talking about. Not necessarily global, but
just
you know what I'm saying?
fucking
Well,
around with Mother Nature.
That's
man.
crazy.
It's climate intervention.
And then going, it's because of our cars and
Man-made
charging us-
climate
and then-
change. What that is, that's true man-made climate change in my view.
With almost immediate effect as well, like what we
Yeah.
saw in Dubai.
mad.
I saw that and I went, okay, I believe it now. There is something happening. So then you go back. I don't know. Have you guys heard of RAF Lynmouth?
No.
RAF Rainmakers. Have you heard of this?
I know RAF. You're talking about the Royal Air Force.
Royal Air Force, yeah. So there was an incident that happened in 1952. The Guardian published it in 2001, where declassified reports from the government showed that the RAF flew over Lynmouth in the south coast near Devon in 1952 to experiment with rainmaking. So they pumped silver iodide and another chemical into the atmosphere over Devon, over Lynmouth, to create rainfall. And it produced successful results. It made like some splatter of rain, and it was to look at artificial rainmaking. Then, not too long after, it created a flash flood within the area, which killed over 30 people. And this was declassified decades later. But people were saying, how has this flash flood happened in Devon, in
And no
Lynmouth?
one knew about it for decades later.
For decades later, and turns out the government and the RAF were experimenting with that. And it took an MP, a Liberal Democrat, weirdly, MP in the early 2000s, late 90s, to file a Freedom of Information request to have it declassified. And then it came out that, the government was experimenting with rainfall, cloud seeding.
49 years later, 50 years
And
later.
cloud seeding,
mental.
cloud seeding is still being used now with Dubai, with Saudi Arabia. Dubai have their own weather program. It's hard to suggest, or it's hard to find where in the UK if they have their own cloud seeding program. I'm sure there is, but I'm trying to uncover more before, jumping to conclusions. But there's a lot of evidence that points that there is. So
And you were sent a lot of evidence in it. I swear.
a lot of publications. There's so much to go through, and it's just
Thousands
me.
of pages,
But luckily, I've had pilots, ex-RAF pilots and commercial pilots, come to me and say, look, there is something going on, let's have a chat. And I've been in group chats with them for a long time now, since coming out and looking into this. And they've fed me a lot of information, but I need to gather more evidence first to properly come out with it. So I guess that's a leak.
Yeah, that was a nice one. I like that.
cheers,
that
man.
was a good juicy leak. Claire. I need to follow you to find out what's going on.
Yeah,
Jeez.
Whoa,
There you go.
Because that links to so much more, doesn't it? Really,
Could do, yeah.
All the problems that it could do, yeah. But all these problems that we're going through, like we're talking about.
I mean, this
protecting
summer's been pretty weird as well.
Yeah, it's been
Fuck
it
me,
is. It's been raining the whole
weird,
time.
isn't
It's
it?
weird.
Yeah.
Like, but even just our winters are getting colder and what
Yeah.
they call global warming, and then we've got things going, messing with weather. And they're trying to say it's because of global warming and because of
They're trying to
pollution and this, that, blah, blah.
Makes me-
Who really knows what the reason is? That if you
and
uncover this, mate, that would be mad.
You know what makes me laugh?
I want my
as
money
well?
back.
That
I want my money back from Ulez.
Ulis.
I'm joking.
How did you play in Ulis?
Oh, that's mad. That's crazy.
No, but how do they? What makes me laugh is how do they tell us we're gonna have the wettest summer? Like there is no, these sorts of long range forecasts. There's no accurate long range forecast. Like I mean, when you talk a long range forecast, the most accurate they can sort of get is within a week or two. Like anything past that point, you're it's completely.
I'm not 100% because I know meteorology. It's all to do with meteorology, and I'm not an expert at that because you've got to. It's so boring. The publications that I was sent, it's learning about how clouds work, the scientific jargon of how clouds work. And I was like, I don't get that. I'm not a scientist. I don't understand. I'm just a journalist. So having to translate that jargon using AI was a slog because that's the only way to try and understand. Like if you're an everyday person, you get given all this scientific jargon to try and understand what all these papers mean. The only way to translate it is through AI like ChatGPT and all that.
There's so many variables anyway, isn't it?
Yeah,
you might as well call it random. Like
This
if
is
there's
what
that
I'm
many
saying.
variables.
It's literally guessing. Anything past a couple of weeks, they're just guessing. Like there is way too many variables,
mad.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, I think this has been a fucking amazing episode.
Oh,
Chris,
thanks,
and this is, I proper enjoyed this.
Truly.
This has been wicked. Now, two little mini customs we have now at the end of this is give us it can be one sentence, it can be a few sentences, whatever you want. Give us your punchline. It can be an inspiring quote. It can be whatever you want it to be. Like just.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Your punchline.
So I guess I could promote someone, and this person, I believe, even if you're at your lowest, if you're feeling really depressed, or if you're at your happiest, he'll always be there with you, from start to finish, and even after. And his name's Jesus Christ, and I'm just going to promote him, if that's okay. The reason why is because I didn't believe. I was an atheist till I was 28, and I'm 30 now. And I've realised actually one of the biggest conspiracies is actually to stop you from looking into what he did and to stop you from believing in him, because I've realised that there is the antidote of what's happening in this world at the minute and all the darkness and all the awful things that are happening. He is the antidote. It's not anyone else. It's him. And once I realised that, I went, okay, maybe there is something to this. So. Obviously, I'm not going to push that. I'm not going to forcibly push that on anyone, of course. But if you think, hang on a minute, there might be something to it, or if you're interested, or if you think maybe there might be something to this guy, I do recommend having a look at what he did, the disciples that follow him, his story, and then the evidence surrounding outside of the book that made him very, very famous. So, yeah.
So your message is what? Look for faith in Jesus Christ.
Yes.
I like that one. I like that one. It's good.
It's different.
Now the final little thing you got to do is you got to say, you can say it in whatever way you want.
Sure.
You know what my sort of catchphrase is, isn't it?
Yeah, cool.
Hey, come on.
Yeah,
so you got to give a little hey, come on to the end.
Hey, come on.
Yes.
Is that all right?
Yeah. Perfect. Nice
Wicked.
one, Lewis.
Good stuff, man.
Nice one. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Nice one.
Speak to you.
Yeah, and you.